Good day, everyone. We will be discussing performance assessment. Now, as we could recall, performance assessment is a related term when we will be discussing authentic assessment. Okay, and these are the people who made the presentation, and here are the topics that we'll be discussing for this lesson. Okay, we have, of course, to discuss the meaning and nature of performance-based assessment. We have to talk about the definition, the different features of performance-based assessment, their focus, and then, of course, the different types of performance tasks, whether it is process-based or product-based. And then we have to discuss the difference between traditional and performance assessment. Now, in our previous discussion, we compare and contrast traditional assessment to authentic assessment, right? Now here we will be trying to look at the differences between traditional assessment and performance assessment. The third topic, we have to understand the different domains and principles of performance-based assessment. And then we have to develop performance-based assessment based on the specific model. Specifically, we have here the GRASP model. And then differentiating performance tasks for diverse learners. As we are in the 21st century education, we're going to make sure that our materials are contextualized. This is based on the characteristics of our learners, right? The concept of differentiated instruction. Another topic would be the steps in developing performance-based assessment. Okay, suggestions for constructing performance tasks, and then the guidelines for performance task development. Another topic would be the strengths and weaknesses of performance-based assessment because most probably because of the nature of the performance-based assessment, okay, most probably ang mga ano niya is ang tagal niyang gawin, no? Conceptualization pa lang hindi na siya madali na so as with the implementation of the performance-based assessment. So those are one of the major drawbacks, no, of the performance-based assessment. And then we have to discuss performance criteria, so the different types of performance criteria, and then the guidelines for good judging criteria. So if I'm not mistaken, this is not the time that we will be creating different types of rubrics. Okay, papasok na tayo doon. Because really our next major topic would be scoring rubrics. We'll be discussing the different types of rubrics, the uses of rubrics, the advantages of using rubrics, how to develop scoring rubrics because it's not really easy. We have to make sure that the scoring rubrics should be tailored to what is needed and the purpose of the activity. And then resources for rubrics on the web. Okay, makikita natin siya sa internet. Let's try to look at some more because if I'm not mistaken, the previous website or sources for rubrics are not what do you call this? They are not functional anymore, no? And then the different types of scoring instruments for performance assessment. We also have here to discuss errors in performance-based assessment. Now, errors in performance-based assessment is very important to understand that there is that particular a fault, no? Most probably, if you're gonna look at that on the perspective of the teacher, okay, somewhat like that. So, number nine topic is very interesting, okay? So that would be our last topic for this chapter. Now, of course, let's try to define first what is performance-based assessment. According to Macmillan 2007, in performance-based assessment, the teacher observes and makes a judgment about the student's demonstration of a skill or competency in creating a product, constructing a response, or making a presentation. If we're going to look at here, the purpose now of the teacher is to observe and make judgment on the demonstration ng skill ng bata. Okay, this is not merely or not focusing merely on the paper and pencil test, no? Kung ano yung nakuhang score ng bata, yun lang magiging judgment or evaluation ngayon ng teacher. This one is we're stepping up because we are looking into the demonstration of a skill or competency in creating a product, no, and other skills, and that's according to the definition of Macmillan 2007. Now, in this assessment, the emphasis is on the student's ability to perform tasks by producing their own authentic work with their knowledge and skills. That's, I think, in our previous lesson on authentic assessment, nakita natin doon yung main differences no ng traditional at saka ng authentic. No? Nasabi natin doon, your traditional is really focused on the content itself, no? The knowledge lang. But in the authentic assessment, we are more focused. We're stepping up now. Like we are now using kung ano yung natutunan ng bata, okay? In the context of real world, right? So it's we are now stepping up, going beyond what is written or ano kung nakalagay doon na score sa ating papel right after natin i-check yung paper. Now, according to Furman 2005, PBA is an alternative form of assessment that moves away from traditional paper and pencil tests. And I think that is understandable already. Okay? Again, we are not just looking at kung unsa kada ko ang score sa bata no right after sa quiz or right after the exam. That is not our sole or that is not our sole indicator that the student is intelligent or not. Okay, so marami na. So we are now again moving away from traditional paper pencil tests. But of course, we have to acknowledge also that paper and pencil tests, they are also important, no, in some aspect. Okay. Now, it involves students producing a project, whether it is an oral, written, individual, or group performance. So when we say project, this is an explicit and overt representation or demonstration of knowledge and skill ng bata, no? Dito ba talaga makikita na kung gusto mong malaman kung marunong ba ang bata magsayaw, of course ipapasayaw yung bata. Okay? Now, hindi pwedeng gusto mong malaman kung meron bang naintindihan yung bata about sa sayaw, ipapa-quiz mo siya. Okay? So we are not limited to paper and pencil test. Kailangan talaga execute ng bata kung meron ba talaga siyang natutunan. Okay? And then another, according to DepEd Order number 7 series of 2012, the highest level of assessment focuses on the performance or product which students are expected to produced through authentic performance tasks. Yun naman talaga, no? If you're going to look at now the grade components, the grade composition ng ating basic education, you would notice there na mas mataas yung porsyento ng what do you call this, performance task, you know? Some of which, like for example, for TLE, like physical education perhaps, sila talaga may pinakamataas, most probably that's 60%, okay? Now, the assessment at this level should answer the question, what product or performance do when students to produce as evidence of their learning and understanding? Or how do we want them to provide evidence that they can transfer their learning to real life situations? Because, again, the purpose of performance assessment is not just limited to storing kung ano yung natutunan nila, i-store lang nila sa somewhere else. Ang purpose talaga ng ating performance-based assessment or performance-based, no, ay it transfer yung natutunan in the real world context. Okay, and I think that's the goal of the K-12 program, to make sure that learning is meaningful, no, para sa mga estudyante. Now, as for the features, according to Gromlo 1998, there are features of performance-based assessment that differ from other types of assessment. Okay, let's try to look at the different features now of performance-based assessment. This is according to Gromlo 1999. Ang una, greater realism of the task, demonstrating a task that shows application in a real-world situation. So yun nga, no? I think that is very clear to us, even in the previous lesson, that really the purpose of why we are mentioning it as performance assessment, authentic assessment, and so on and so forth, because we make sure that this type of activity or task is meron siyang connection to real world context. Like ma-apply natin yung natutunan natin sa loob ng klase sa real world task. Real world situation. Number two feature is greater complexity of the task, like difficult to understand and analyze because there are less structured problems that encourage the students to perform with originality and thinking skills. So this is now the challenging part of performance-based assessment because of its nature. Yun yung nabagit ko kanina, no? The nature of performance-based tasks that are really complex by nature. Therefore, then it requires higher order thinking skills. No? Kaya sinabi natin dito, for the student to solve the problem, no, sa task, dapat talaga mag-isip talaga siya, lalabas doon yung originality and thinking skills. Okay, na tinatawag natin. So, ibig sabihin, It is really a requirement to use higher order thinking skills here for you to perform the task. The third feature, greater time needed for assessment. Okay, needs longer time to assess the performance of the students because of the difficulty of designing the task and the increased time needed to evaluate the results. In your performance task, a task cannot be done in one session alone, okay, or in one period alone. By nature, the performance task really is not appropriate for one session only. Okay, you would really notice that your performance tasks they could go for extend up until to 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month, no? Ganun talaga kahaba. Now because of that, the nature of assessment ay hindi din siya madali, no? Kasi along the way ng performance task, hindi kasi ibig sabihin na pag ang performance task ay 1 week for example, yung last day for that week na ang assessment, hindi kasi ganoon, no? There is what we call, since as na-mention natin sa previous lesson that assessment is now an integral part of authentic assessment. It is also true here in performance assessment that assessment is an integral part now. Okay, the purpose of that is there is that constant feedbacking, no, along the way. Okay, hindi man pwede na ang assessment ibibigay na natin doon sa last part ng ating performance task. Okay, kaya na medyo napaka-challenging, and then since again the nature of performance task is not easy. Therefore, then it requires a complex, what do you call this, assessment as well, no? And then greater use of judgment in scoring. Now, the evaluator should consider the set of judging criteria associated with the performance assessment. I think this one I already mentioned it to you that when you will be conceptualizing now your assessment tool, like for example, in setting up the different criteria, no, we have to make sure na pipiliin talaga natin yung criteria na appropriate talaga sa activity. Okay? Do not choose a criteria na hindi naman necessary for that particular activity. Okay? Like the goal pa rin or the mantra pa rin doon, yung tinatawag pa rin natin ng the SMART, no? Parang dapat we still specify pa rin na yung criteria na gagamitin is really for the intention of evaluating the performance task. Now, performance task now according to Gronlon, okay, Gronlon and Lin and Miller, there are two types of performance-based assessment. Okay, there are two types. Ang una, meron tayong tinatawag na restricted response performance task. Then we also have here extended response performance task. Now, a performance task that is highly structured with a limited scope, no? And then the instructions of the task are more focused and the limitations are always indicated. So I think given pa lang sa description, you would really see, you could understand bakit siya tinawag na restricted response performance task. Okay? It is highly structured. When we say highly structured, yung every procedure that are written explicitly, no? Hindi siya parang open-ended, no, kumbaga. So, ibig sabihin, the procedure is very explicit and very specific. Okay? And then sinabi pa dito na limited scope pa siya. So, ibig sabihin, this is not really an open-ended one, no? That you can think of anything under the sun, no? And then the instructions of the task are more focused, and then the limitations are always indicated, okay? On the other hand, when we say extended response performance task, this is a type of performance that is less structured and broader in scope. Now, when we say less structured, ibig sabihin, wala talaga siyang process, walang saktong process. Siguro, nagbibigay ng konting instruction, but if we're going to look at it, it's very open. Ibig sabihin, it is more challenging now compared to restricted response performance task because an extended response performance task, it requires higher order thinking skills, no? Because we have to make sure that we think out of the box. Okay? Not just limit to whatever written, no, sa activity. And then, kaya nga, nasabi nga dito, broader in scope siya. So again, you have to understand why nasabi ko na ang extended response performance task is much challenging compared to the first type. Okay? Now, next is the types of performance tasks. let's have first the process-based assessment. No? So, ang focus dito is evaluates the actual task performance. Okay? The actual task performance, hindi yung naging resulta ng task performance. So, it does not emphasize on the output product of the activity. Now, this assessment aims to know what processes a person undergoes when given a task. No? I think this one, the process-based assessment, is much more appropriate kung gagamitin natin yung extended response sa performance task because it's an open-ended, it's broader in scope, no? Dito talaga natin matitest kung ano talaga yung mga kailangan gagawin ng bata or mga techniques ng bata, yung creativity ng bata para masolusyonan or matapos yung isang performance task. Okay? Now, yung tinatawag nating process-based assessment, ito yung assessment wherein we are looking into the journey, of the child while doing the task. Okay, concerned with the actual task performance rather than the output or product of an activity. And of course, if we have process-based assessment, we also have here product-based assessment. Now, you have to understand the difference between the two because in product-based assessment, ang titingnan ngayon is the final product. Okay? We are not considering kung paano ginawa ng bata ang cake. So, parang ganoon, no? This type of assessment is now looking at the taste, no, the final product, of cake, no, making a cake. Like for example, the the creativity, yung taste ng cake, so on and so forth, right? So a kind of assessment where an assessor views and score the final product made and not on the actual performance of making that product. It is concerned on the product alone and not on the process. It is more concerned to the outcome or the performance of the learner. It focuses on the achievement of the learner. Okay? The achievement because right after the kasi yung produkto na, no? It also focuses on evaluating the result of or outcome of a process. So that is the difference between a process and product-based assessment. Again, ang example dito ay uh, in science, for example, meron tayong dissection, no? From dissection, meron akong checklist, meron akong evaluation tool na ginagamit para i-check kung tama ba yung pamamaraan ng pag-dissect ng bata. So, ibig sabihin, gina-evaluate ko siya while the student is doing the dissection. That's what we mean by process-based assessment. Then right after that, no, titingnan ngayon kung yung produkto, no, right after the dissection, ibang rubric na naman yun or ibang assessment tool na naman yung gagamitin. Titingnan ngayon uh, yung gaano kalinis yung dissection right after the dissection. Okay? So that's the product-based assessment. All right. Now, right after that would be the focus on performance-based assessment. Now, according to Gronlund, okay, use the process when. Okay, that's the focus of performance. So you have to use the performance-based assessment when, if it is a process-based assessment, if there is no product. Okay, so magamit daw tayo ng process-based kung wala talagang produkto. Okay, so the process is orderly and directly observable. Ibig sabihin, mas klaro. Meron siyang procedure. Okay? So pag meron procedure, mas madali natin i-check. No? Kaya ang ganito talaga natin would be the process-based assessment. Kasi titignan natin doon kung paano ba what you call this, consistent with data in following the directions. Okay? And the third one, correct procedures or steps are crucial to later success. Of course, we consider like, for example, in baking a cake, no? In baking a cake, it is very crucial kung paano nililuto yung cake. So that's why a process-based assessment is very important. Kasi napaka-importante kung, syempre, kung tama yung ginawa ng bata, kung paano, kung if ever magluto siya or mag-bake siya ng cake, of course, it should reflect at the same time sa produkto din. And the analysis of procedural steps can help in improving the product. Again, if there is procedure, so it's very appropriate na gamitin natin ang process-based assessment. And then learning is at the early stage. Ibig sabihin ng early stage, mas makikita natin yung pagkatuto ng bata on that particular part. Okay? So, ibig sabihin may proseso. No? So, titignan muna natin kung nakuha ng bata yung basic skills. No? Of course, ang basic skills noon is yung paano paggawa. Okay? So, yun yung gagamitin natin kung process-based. No? And then, Next naman is kung product-based yung gagamitin natin. So ano yung kailangan nating i-consider? Is it to consider example, no? Different procedures result in an equally good product. So kaya talaga, medyo, ang naibibigay ko talagang example yung pagluluto, no? Kasi for example, in baking a cake, marami tayong estilo, no? Yung kung paano natin maluto yung cake. Okay? Now again, we are looking at the technicalities kung paano yung luto. Pero at the end of the day, if we're going to look at it, marami pa rin procedure. Like for example, meron siyang ang ginawang ganito, yung isa naman, instead na gamitin ay ganito, iba yung ginawa ng iba, ng other student, for example. Okay? So iba't iba yung procedure, pero merong isang resulta, which is of course a cake. No? So kaya maganda nagagamitan siya ng product-based assessment. Another to consider is procedures not available for observation. So, kung wala talagang, like for example, hindi pwedeng ma-observe yung procedure, kung paano siya gawin, of course, doon na tayo sa produkto. Tingnan natin yung product agad-agad. Okay? So, like for example, yung ano ba, ang pag-ferment ng wine, okay, a wine must be fermented not for just a day, 2 days, 3 days, a month, yung iba pa, year pa. Of course, the procedure there cannot be is not available for observation. You cannot do evaluation there kung paano ginawa yung 1 year, right? So ibig sabihin, ang titingnan natin ngayon is yung lasa na ng wine. Okay? So procedures not available for observation. Therefore there, ang kukunin na lang natin or i-assess na lang natin ngayon is yung produkto. Kaya ang gagamitin po natin ngayon ay ang product-based assessment. Now, ang third consideration is the procedures have been mastered already. Okay. Now, if the procedures have been mastered already, I think there is no problem with that. Therefore, then we don't need to assess that anymore. Because the reason why we are assessing the procedure is to look at kung gaano ba kataas ang level na nakuha ng bata yung procedure. So if the procedures have been mastered, I think there is no reason for us to evaluate or assess that anymore. Okay, that's the third consideration. The fourth consideration ay products some qualities that can be identified and judged. So if a product, if there are different qualities in a product and then therefore it can be judged, therefore then we have to use a product-based assessment. Okay? Pero kung wala naman talaga siyang like explicit and specific product, no, and then there's no like for example good qualities to be judged on, therefore then you don't need to use product based assessment. Okay, therefore those are the four considerations for you to use product based assessment. All right. Next, let's talk about the difference of traditional assessment and performance assessment. I hope we got a little about the meaning and the nature of performance-based assessment. Okay, basically, if you could synthesize it, if you're gonna lump it, you would notice that it has similarity with authentic assessment. Because again, we did mention in our previous lesson, these are related terms. No, we have authentic assessment, we also have performance assessment, right? And let's try to look at here the difference between traditional assessment and performance-based assessment. Again, sa previous lesson natin, nakita na natin yung kaibahan ng authentic at saka traditional. Since these are related terms, therefore then, meron na din tayong hihint kung ano ba talaga yung labayan ng differences na ito. Okay. Now, traditional assessment or paper pencil test measures learning indirectly. Okay? Bakit indirectly? Kasi hindi natin nakikita yung I mean, there is no demonstration of a skill, right? So when measuring factual knowledge and solving well-structured mathematical problems, paper and pencil test is better to use. Okay? Now we have to understand everyone that there are still, yun nasabi ko sa inyo, although we are now leading towards performance assessment, outcomes-based education, something like that, hindi pa rin natin pwedeng i-eliminate yung paper and pencil test because there are parts of different subjects na kailangan pa rin ng paper and pencil test. Okay? So, ang sabi dito, especially when measuring factual knowledge, no? Ibig sabihin yung mga dates, yung definitions, those are still important because those are basic, right? For them, we cannot use performance assessment or a performance task for you to identify the definition of photosynthesis, right? You just have to memorize it, okay? And then solving a well-structured mathematical problems, of course, hindi kailangan a performance task. Therefore, then we have to use a paper and pencil test, okay? But in performance-based assessment, it is a direct measure of learning or competence. Bakit natin nasabi na direct measure siya as to compare to traditional assessment? Sa performance-based assessment kasi, there is that execution of skill or knowledge or what they mean by demonstration. Okay? So, for example, alam ko yung konsepto ng profit, alam ko yung konsepto ng mga ganyan na concept sa business. Okay? Bakit natin nasasabi na direct siya? Kasi nakikita no, sa mismong task. For example, gagawa ng project proposal, and then, like, magluluto ng, ano ba, maggawa ng yema, and then, isusulat doon kung ilan yung capital, ilan yung money na ginamit, and then, right after naubos yung yema, kunenta yung nakuhang, or I mean, the revenue, and then, of course, tinignan kung ilan yung nagiging, what do you call this, yung right after the capital, meron kang nakuhang yung puhunan, meron kang nakuhang, yung from puhunan, merong tinatawag na profit right after, no? So, ibig sabihin, you are not just learning really the concept of the term profit, the term revenue, the term capital by its definition, but you did it no, in real life context. Kaya sinasabi siya na direct measure of learning or competence. Okay? Now this indicates that cognitive complex outcomes, affective and psychomotor skills have been mastered. Alright. So that is the main difference between your traditional assessment and then performance based assessment. Let's proceed to the third topic, which is the domains and principles of performance-based assessment. The first principle, or principle number one, is assessment should be valid. Now, I think the term valid is very common in assessment. Narinig na ata ninyo ito, even in your CP 105 at saka sa CP 106 natin. Now, when we say assessment should be valid, so we have to consider the different validity evidences. So, first, evidence based on the content. Ibig sabihin, whatever the content, like the objective, no, it should reflect to the content no, of your activity or your performance task. And then evidence based on response processes, ibig sabihin dito the feedbacking and then the assessment feedbacking should always be appropriate with the assessment and of course to the content. Evidence based on internal structure. When we say internal structure, kung paano ginawa yung activity, no? Ibig sabihin yung pagkatahi-tahi ng ating from the learning objective to the content to the different types of assessment, different types of activity. Evidence-based concerning other variables. Ibig sabihin, other variables, yung nabanggit ko sa inyo kanina na other auxiliary assessment and other auxiliary activities. And then evidence-based on consequences of testing. Of course, again, the test is valid if it measures what it is supposed to measure. So again, it is always parallel to the what we call the learning objectives up until the testing part. Okay. Next is the principle two. We have assessment should be reliable and in content. Now, when we say reliable, everyone, the internal consistency now of our test. Ibig sabihin, given the same condition, if the test will have what do you call that internal or consistent result given on the second time around, no, in the same condition, ibig sabihin the test has an internal consistency. Now, our focus is more on internal consistency because um, uh, among the four types of reliability test, ang pinaka-common sa atin is yung internal consistency. Okay? Now, another we have is the assessment information should be explicit, accessible, and transparent. And I think this one is very understandable, right? When you will be creating your performance assessment, you have to make sure that the assessment no is explicit. Ibig sabihin dapat discuss talaga siya, right? You have to make sure na lahat ng assessment tools na ginamit doon, lahat ng uh, content ng assessment, like for example, if it is a rubric, for example, no, dapat discuss talaga, no? Basta ang point dito, assessment should be explicit, accessible, and transparent to your students. Okay, because take note, you will be giving immediate feedback or appropriate feedback. Therefore, then it's very important na alam ng bata kung paano sila ginagrado, no, for that particular part of the activity. Principle 4, assessment should be inclusive and equitable. No, I think this one is understandable. No, it should cover different aspects of the learners, right? And then number 5, assessment should be an integral part of program design and should relate directly to the programs and learning outcomes. Again, ito yung unang nabanggit natin kanina, yung sa number 1. No? We have to make sure that assessment is the integral part of the program design. Ibig sabihin, hindi lang siya limited to one part of the activity or task. Okay? Hindi ibig sabihin na usually ang pattern natin, ay yung assessment natin or yung evaluation natin ay nangyayari at the end of the activity. Dito, we use assessment as an integral part talaga of the performance task. Ibig sabihin, it's not limited to the first part or earlier part ng task, not even limited to the last part of the performance task. Okay? Now, number 6, the amount of assessed work should be manageable. Dapat hindi siya OA sa dami. Okay? So again, you think of as assessment or evaluation that is of course purport to the activity naman. Number 7, formative and summative assessment should be included in each program. I think, alam na natin, no? Formative is the ongoing process. That's the feedbacking. And I think it's very explicit naman sa performance task. Nabanggit ko sa inyo na sa performance task, napaka-importante talaga ng feedbacking in between. No? Kaya meron na tayong formative. And of course, meron din tayong end of instruction. Meron din tayong produkto, yung product of the task should be assessed also. And that is now your summative assessment. Okay? And then principle number 8, timely feedback that promotes learning and facilitates improvement should be an integral part of the assessment process. Again, nabanggit ko na ito that since formative assessment is part of which, therefore then it is included in all parts of your assessment task. It should not be limited to one part of the task only. All right? And then principle 9, staff development, policy, and strategy should include assessment. So again, yun ang sinasabi natin, we are not just limited to the product. We're also looking at the process, the academic journey, so the development and then strategy na ginamit ng bata kung paano masatisfy yung performance task na ginawa ng bata. So those are the different principles of performance assessment. So we have 9. Right after we discuss the different principles, let's proceed now to the domains of performance assessment. Okay, now first domain is the communication skills. Okay, writing an essay is an example. Delivering a speech is an example. Okay, now in performance assessment, it is in every performance task, it is inevitable that our students really should express their thoughts and present the output. Okay, the presenting the result of a certain output is part of communication skills, right? We're honing their communication aspect, a communication skills aspect. Letter B is the psychomotor skills. They are doing something. They are not passive learners wherein they just sit down and then something like that. Okay? So meron talaga silang ginagawa, no? Therefore then, nakaka-hone din yung tinatawag natin psychomotor skills ng bata. And then the athletic skills, shooting 3 points in a basketball game is an example, pitching a strike ball, and then we have diving. No, nakadepende naman, no? Because we can hold athletic skills for specific subjects. For example, for PE, but not others naman can do this, no? In a normal setting. Kasi hindi naman, for example, kung hindi naman sports yung lesson, of course, hindi natin ito magagamit ito athletic skills. But of course, ano pa rin yung psychomotor skills, hindi talaga siya nawawala. Okay? Another domain we have is concept acquisition, now skills in acquiring, organizing, and using information. This one is so nice, no? Because, in performance task, you have to do something. All right. Now, if you're going to do something, you are confronted with problems and scenarios. Therefore, then you have to understand something, right? You acquire knowledge, like for example, you read, and then right after reading, you use kung ano yung natutunan mo dun sa nabasa mo to, of course, to understand and to finish the performance task. Okay. Another domain is the affective skills. I think this one is already given, no, because one of the evident attribute na makikita natin when we are doing performance task or in performance task ay we appreciate things because we get to see the uh, we get to get the role of certain role. Only for example, if you are the barangay counselor, for example, if you are the teacher, no, in a role playing, right? In this particular role playing is more on attitudinal change, no, pwede siya. But I do understand also that when you are doing things, no, and then applying your knowledge and skills in real life context, there is what we call attitudinal change also because you get to understand the feeling of doing it, no, like for example if you are taking the role of a researcher, therefore then you got to understand now what is really the feeling of being a researcher, right? So that's it. Go for effective skills. All right, so we are done with the principles and domains of performance assessment. Let's proceed now to that fourth topic, and this is on the developing performance-based assessment. Now, please take note, everyone, that we are using certain model to develop performance-based assessment. In this part, we will learn how to what's the process of designing performance tasks, or what are the things to be considered, to consider. I mean, and then also we are to discuss the model that we will be using, in designing performance tasks, and then differentiating, of course, the performance task for diverse learners. Now let's try to look at here the different considerations in designing performance tasks. First is you have to integrate knowledge and skills. Now, integrate knowledge and skills across multiple contents, content standards or strengths within a content area. So, ibig sabihin, we have to make sure that we integrate knowledge and skills because yun kasi yung i-demonstrate ng bata, yung knowledge at saka yung skills, no? Number two, we have to measure the capacity of students. Now, measure capacity such as depth of understanding, research skills, complex analysis, and identification. If we're going to look at number two, you would really understand, and you could really, you can understand now that really, no, kailangan talaga yung higher order thinking skills when you are doing performance tasks. Okay, because of the nature, really, no. If you're going to look at the requirement, you know. And then the third one is the student initiated because of course performance based assessment or performance task is part of being student-centered, okay? So therefore, requires student-initiated planning, management of information and ideas, and of course, interaction with other materials also. And then production of extended responses require production of extended responses such as oral presentations, exhibitions, and other scorable products. Ibig sabihin, hindi lang ito limited to one product only, but extensions pa. No? More demonstration pa of knowledge and skills, kumbaga. No? Another we have is a real world task. Ang tatawagin. Okay? Real world task and or scenario based problem. Okay? I think this one is very clear. And then another is different multiple approaches. Ibig sabihin, hindi lang limited to one approach. Okay? You have to make sure that you combine it to others, to other naman. Not just limited to ICT integration, not just limited to like a problem base, for example. So different approaches that you can integrate. Because I think you have to understand that kasi hindi lang naman pang isang araw yung performance task. Ito, no? Pwede naman siyang 2 weeks or even 1 month, no? Number seven, relevant and meaningful. Pag sinasabi talaga natin relevant at saka meaningful na term, ibig sabihin, meron talaga siyang connection sa real world context. Okay? And then we also have, we also have yung kanina, yung 21st century skills, when you will be designing performance tasks, you have to make sure that their 21st century skills ay magagamit. Okay? Meron yung tatlo. Right? Okay, may tatlo yun. And then we have here essence of scoring. Require scoring that focuses on the essence of the task. So ang ibig sabihin ng number 9 ay sisiguraduhin lang natin na yung gagamitin nating assessment tool ay akma or appropriate sa task ng ginawa ng bata. And then number 10 is feasible, be feasible for the school environment or classroom environment. So, ibig lang sabihin ay pwede. Okay? Appropriateness no, sa context ng school or yung classroom environment. Right? So those are the different factors that you are to consider when designing performance tasks, to consider or to include no, in designing performance tasks. Now let's proceed to graphs. No, ito yung gagamitin natin. Now when we say graphs, ibig sabihin G stands for goal, R stands for role, A stands for audience, S for situation, P for products, S for standards. Okay, so that is your GRASP model. This is your guide in developing authentic performance tasks. So what is GRASP? No? Ang una, this is a model for demonstrating performance of understanding using authentic assessments. Okay, it is one of many performances of understanding models, but it is ideally suited to the kind of project-based inquiries we do in design. Okay, so a model again of demonstrating performance of understanding using authentic assessment. And then GRASP represents a framework for organizing, like delivering and assessing a project-based assessment. So the assessment associated with the inquiry is structured around the following expectations and goals. Okay? Now, let's try to look at what is G here. Ano, kung ano dapat ilagay. Now, when we say G, that is for goal. You have to provide a statement of the task, you have to establish the goal, problem, and challenge or obstacle in the task. Okay? So dito natin nilalagay lahat. Yung paunahang you are to describe the task. This is not the time that you will give now the challenge, no? Galing sa task. Okay? And then yung mga kailangan niyang pagtagumpayan, kumbaga. So that is for our goal. And yung role natin, define the role of the students in the task, state the job of of the students for the task. For us, for us to get more like feelings, no, sa bata or characterization sa problem. For example, na ipiperform ng mga bata, I think it is very clear and understandable to include roles, right? So, dapat makita talaga, for example, role, no? Merong isang researcher, merong isang writer, may secretary, may reporter, ayun. Okay? And then please take note that you have to state the job of the students for the task. Okay? And then for letter A, that is your audience. Identify the target audience within the context of the scenario. Example audiences may include a client or committee. Okay? So hindi lang siya limited to your students as part of your audience. You can look pa. Nakadepende naman kung ano yung gagawin ninyong assessment task or performance task. I mean. And then for situation, set the context or the scenario, explain the situation. So itong situation, parang din siyang nagamit natin sa previous pa natin na topic, no? Okay? Now again, you have to set the context or the scenario. Anong nandoon, no? And the product, clarify why the students will create and why they will create it. Bakit kaya? So, ito dapat yung magiging guide natin. No? At saka yung standards provide students with a clear picture of success. So, ibig sabihin, kung clear picture of success, dapat ando na yung mga rubrics and different types of assessments. No? So, issue rubrics with the students or develop them with the students. Ayan. So, that is for standards. So, yun po. No, as I did mention, in developing performance tasks, we will be using graphs as a model or a framework. Now, prior to this, we discussed the different parts of the GRASP model. So we have G stands for goal, R stands for role, and then A stands for audience, S stands for situation, P for product, and S for standards. Now, right after that, I think one of the key features of performance task is this particular type of assessment can be twisted and can be conceptualized based on the different characteristics of the learners, or our basis would be the differences among learners. Now let's try to discuss, we will discuss the differentiating performance task for diverse learners. And the question is, who are diverse students? No? Now, accordingly, diverse learners include children and students of all abilities, from racially ethnically, culturally, and linguistically diverse backgrounds. Now the concept of diversity is actually broad, no? Like, siguro ang point lang na tinitingnan natin dito will be more on the differences among learners. Like, we're trying to tailor our performance tasks to the needs of the learners, at the same time the characteristics of the learners. Now, diversity in a classroom, of course, before, one of the key important, for you to identify the diversification of your classroom is on yung tinatawag natin na entry level indicators. Now, part of those would have to you have to get to know your student, okay, their background, okay, their academic background, probably their family background, no, and then reevaluate your teaching materials if it is appropriate or not. No, getting to know your student, ang dami po nating, like for example, kung gusto niyo pong malaman yung learning styles ng mga bata at saka yung multiple intelligences ng mga bata, you can download parang meron kasing assessment tool sa internet. You can download on that. And then based po doon, di ba po, meron po tayong mga tinatawag na group activities. And we have so limited time when it comes to groupings. No, it could actually kill time. So ang ginagawa talaga natin, meron tayong tinatawag na predetermined groupings na kung alam natin na mag-group activity tayo the next meeting, we have to make sure na meron tayong tinatawag na predetermined groupings. Now, if we want to have a heterogeneous grouping or homogeneous groupings, we will base that on the what do you call this, the background and of course the characteristics of your learners, probably based on the learning styles and then the multiple intelligences na pina-exam mo sa kanila. And then right after that, you have to reevaluate your teaching materials if it is appropriate and it mirrors to the characteristics of the learners. And then be willing to address inequality, because this one, right after getting to know your students, you would see now that there are inequalities. Okay, now when we are embracing concept about diversity, you get to understand there that there is really inequality. Okay, now we have to make sure na yung tinatawag nating inequality hindi naman mafe-feel ng mga estudyante. Okay, we will try to we let them understand that yung concept of diversification is actually the strength of the learners, okay? And then connecting the families and community. Yes, you're trying to look at kaya nga, ang when you will be going to understand, no, the characteristics of the learners, kasali ni doon yung family background or yung cultural background na sinasabi, and then meet diverse learning need. Of course, the bottom part why we are trying to contextualize our materials is we get to make sure that we meet the different learning needs, inside the classroom. Okay. Next would be the different steps in developing performance-based assessment. Okay. Now we have there are suggestions for constructing performance tasks, and of course we have guidelines for performance tasks at the same time. Okay. Ang una nating tingnan is performance tasks must be congruent to the purpose of the assessment. And I think this one naman is understandable already. This is what we call curriculum alignment then. Okay. For letter B, performance task elicits behaviors at the level stated in the instructional outcome. So we have to make sure that whatever written in the instructional outcome or instructional objectives, it should really explicitly part of the performance task. Okay? So kung ano yung nakasulat doon sa performance task, dapat lalabas talaga siya as your performance task or vice versa. Okay, and then performance tasks are interesting, challenging, and fair to all students. And I think this one is submitable already, no? Especially the fair to all students. We have to make sure that when we will be making our performance task, hindi lang pwede na para lang sa mga slow learners or fast learners. Okay? So dapat magmi-meet talaga in between. Or siguro ang pinakamagandang gawin dyan is you increase the difficulty. Okay? Para naman merong wide range of leveling yung activities natin, and it could cover different level din ng estudyante. Another performance is authentic, hence it promotes the conveyance of the learning to the real world. So we have to make sure that since this is performance task, our definition of performance task is to make sure that our learners are are exposed to real world problem, okay, sa performance task. We have to make sure that yung performance task na gagawin natin is also mirroring what is happening in the real world. Next, performance tasks include only important outcomes that are appropriately assessed. We have to make sure meron talagang performance at saka product. Okay? Again, if we're going to look at letter E, is also telling us that SMART is not just a reflection in a learning objective, but at the same time in performance task. Okay, so we have to make sure that when we will be making performance task, we have to make sure we include outcomes that are explicit. No nakikita talaga at mapiperform ng mga bata. Performance task adequately reflects intended learning outcomes. Okay, hindi naman talaga ibig sabihin that if you have 5 learning outcomes. You also have 5 performance tasks. Nakadepende. Basta kung ano yung task na makikita doon, no, kung ano yung task na makikita sa learning objectives or learning outcomes natin, it should mimic also to the performance task na gagawin talaga ng mga bata. Do not include do not include learning outcomes that cannot be measured and hindi din magagawa ng mga bata. Performance tasks are appropriate for the developmental level of students. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo, appropriateness. Okay? For you, when we are going to consider the concept of fairness in making performance tasks, we have to make sure that that is appropriate to the developmental level of students. Okay? Yung concept ng fairness. Another, the direction of performance, the task should include what is to be done, how it is done, and what condition it is done. So again, we have to make sure that the directions are specific. No, these are not implicit. No, dapat naiintindihan ng mga bata. As much pag sinasabi natin naiintindihan ng bata or maiintindihan ng bata, we have to make sure that we create specific, no, and then do not use complicated words, no, in making your instructions. So it should be clear. At the same time, before talaga gagawa ng before yung bata magpo-proceed sa performance task, we have to make sure as a teacher na naiintindihan nila yung anong dapat nilang gawin sa performance task. Do not let them proceed to the performance task without even asking kung naiintindihan ba nila yung task mismo. The directions of performance tasks should give enough information and context for successful task completion by all students, so which is the same pa rin naman sa letter H. Now, here are the different suggestions for constructing performance tasks. It is very important to develop high-quality performance assessments that effectively measures complex learning outcomes. Below are the different suggestions in developing performance tasks and the ways of improving scoring. Okay, bakit natin na-include ito yung scoring? Because scoring is very important. This would give the students proper and immediate feedback to our learners. If there is what we call proper scoring, ibig sabihin it also follows that there is what we call proper feedbacking, which is very important. This is according to Gronlund, Lane, and Miller 2009. First suggestion, focus on learning outcomes that require complex cognitive skills and student performance. Take note that when you are doing performance tasks, we are testing their higher order thinking skills. So you have to make sure that the learning outcomes should also reflect on that when you will be making your learning outcomes. It should require complex cognitive skills and student performances. Next, select or develop tasks that represent both content and skills that are central to important learning outcomes. Again, nakita natin sa previous slides natin na yung difference between traditional assessment and performance task assessment or performance assessment. Nakita natin doon that performance assessment is going beyond a concept, going beyond kung ano yung nalalaman ng bata. So there must be execution kung ano yung natutunan ng bata. So kaya we have to make sure that when we are developing performance tasks, it should represent both content and then yung skills ng bata. Okay? Next, minimize the dependence of task performance on skills that are relevant to the intended purpose of the assessment task. Ang sinabi nito minimize, ibig sabihin, again, if you're to go back to letter B, dapat dalawa talaga, content at the same time, yung tinatawag nating skills. It shouldn't be limited to content alone, and it shouldn't be limited to skills alone. So it should be both. Letter D, provide the necessary scaffolding for the students to be able to understand the task and what is expected from their performance. This one, it really needs supervision from the teacher. So do not allow your learners just to explore. Now, because in performance task, although not all parts naman ng task ay given ng estudyante, but necessary scaffolding is very important. To not just leave your students hanging and let them just explore kung ano yung magiging what do you call this, makukuha nila right after exploration. There must still be guidance from the teacher, right? And then next, construct task direction so that the student's task is clearly indicated. So again, when you will be making your task direction, you have to make sure that it is simple, explicit, and then understandable to the level of the learners. All right. And then we also have clearly communicate performance. It is very important also to discuss the assessment tools to your students. So as, of course, for them to be prepared, kung ano yung expectations sa kanila. And then I think it is also very important because we let our students to comment also to the rubrics, for example, or assessment tools. Like for example, sabihin ng bata na, sir, can you limit the points po dito sa criteria na ito because we believe po hindi po masyadong importante siya sa performance task. We can actually do that. Okay? So again, we have to make sure that there is proper communication to the students, especially when it comes to the assessment tools na gagamitin ni teacher. Okay. Next, let's try to look at here the strengths and weaknesses of performance-based assessment because as we all know, our assessment tools are not perfect, but they're appropriate to certain things, okay? And of course, we'll be discussing here performance criteria. Now, what are the different types of performance criteria? So we have first the impact of performance. So measure success based on goals and expected outcomes. That's why it's very important to really explicitly write the description, like for example of for analytic rubric, for example, okay, and we will be having example with analytic rubric later, and then you have to make sure that the excuse me, the percentage or the scores are of course explicitly written also. And then work quality and craftsmanship assesses precision, organization, and complexity. You can actually do this, especially if you're gonna think kung ano talaga yung gusto mong makuha no, galing sa performance or product ng bata. Okay? Letter C, adequacy of method and behavior evaluates techniques, processes, and professional conduct. Okay? Again, the point here sa different types of performance criteria is titingnan natin ngayon kung anong dapat nating criteria or criteria na gagamitin base sa gusto mong makuha ng mga bata or base sa gusto mong makita sa performance or product ng mga bata. So, pangatlong doon yung adequacy of method and behavior. Pang-apat na performance criteria is what we call validity of content. So ensures correctness of ideas, skills, and materials. So for example, yung essay, no? Yung sa essay naman, tinitingnan natin kung yung content ba is valid, no? If it is correct, no? Tama ba yung content doon? Tama ba yung mga evidences na present sa essay, for example? So you can actually do that also. And then the last one is the sophistication of knowledge. Examines depth and maturity of applied knowledge, okay? Especially kung merong, ano ba ito, like a role-playing or like a presentation of a budget proposal right after nilang na execute. Okay, so it could examine, meron tayong performance criteria that could examine depth and maturity of applied knowledge. So these are the 5 types of performance criteria that you can think of kung ano dapat yung focus natin. Anyway, again, the types of performance criteria, these are rooted from, of course, the purpose, kung ano yung para saan yung activity or para saan yung criteria or yung assessment tool na gagamitin natin, yung performance assessment, I mean. Okay? Now let's try to look at here the different guidelines for judging criteria. The first guideline here is clearly communicate achievement standards. I think this one is OP for us. Okay? Hindi na kailangan sabihin ito. Kailangan talaga natin i-discuss sa mga estudyante natin kung ano yung kung ano yung tinatawag nating achievement standards. Number 2, define measurable and observable performance expectations right after we communicate achievement standards. Like, this is how you will be graded. These are the criteria. Dapat i-explain natin sa mga estudyante natin kung ano yung expected talaga na nagagawin ng mga bata. Okay? Like, right after this, you have to create a project, a tangible project, everything. Okay? And then ensure criteria apply across similar contexts. Ibig sabihin natin na apply across similar contexts. The criteria shouldn't be limited to this a particular type of performance or purpose, no, it can still be used to others. For example, yung konsepto ng yung criterion na creativity, the criterion creativity is not just limited to how you conceptualize the role playing or the script, right? But the creativity could also tell us about the materials being used, okay? Or another thing is the content validity. For example, the correctness of the material. It's not just limited to the correctness of materials, but also kung paano natin di-defend yung content, that's correctness, okay? Defending the correctness based on different, like for example, sources perhaps, okay? So ibig sabihin, ensure criteria that can apply across a similar context. Ayan. And then next, focus on recent instruction at prior learning. Okay. In the performance criteria, since ginawa nila ngayon yan, do not, what I mean, the performance criteria shouldn't be used for prior knowledge or prior activity. Okay. Of course, ang performance criteria ay para sa ginawa nila ngayon. Okay. Do not use the performance criteria para i-assess you before. Right? Must be observable and essential for judging performance, very clear yan. Then define excellence and be appropriate for students also. Okay? Right after discussing the different guidelines of performance criteria, let's try to look at here the strengths and weaknesses of performance-based assessment. Let's try to look at first the strengths. First, it clarifies learning targets. Yan naman ang kagandahan dito because when you will be communicating this to your students, it could give more clear view kung ano talaga yung gagawin din ng mga bata, right? So along the way, alam nila na, okay, for this particular part of activity, ito yung dapat gawin namin based on the criteria, based on the purpose, for example. Now, encourages student creativity and expertise. Kasi nga, ang gina-measure ng performance assessment or performance task is high order thinking skills. Therefore, then, pupunta talaga tayo doon sa creativity, no, and expertise or expertise ng bata. Supports constructivist learning principles. In the constructivist learning principles, and sinabi doon, we use the prior knowledge to understand better and explore better than the current one. Okay, so that's constructivism. Apart from that, constructivism is more on metacognition or self-reflection at the same time. So that's why there is what we call immediate feedback, no, along the way. Kasi na tinitingnan natin na kaya napaka-importante ng appropriate and immediate feedback for the learners because this is now the time also that they could evaluate themselves. We call that a self-evaluation. When they do self-evaluation, they self-reflect, therefore then they do practice metacognition. And metacognition is a, what do you call this, an important aspect in the constructivist learning principles. Now, it uses diverse evaluation approaches. Yun naman talaga din, no? Because in performance task, we embrace and we acknowledge differences, we acknowledge different learning styles, we acknowledge multiple intelligences. Therefore, then it is imperative also to make sure that when you are making our evaluation tool, it should be in a diverse manner, no? Dapat naka-differentiated din siya, okay? To cater differences, no, sa estudyante natin. And the last one is it enhances the teaching and learning process. Take note that for you to to say that there is that what we call enhancement of teaching learning process, there is that proper feedbacking in between. No, feedbacking, feedbacking that right after the students can self-evaluate, and at the same time, the teacher could also self-evaluate. Okay? That's the main point of here. No? Kaya nga napakaganda ng performance task o yung tinatawag natin performance-based na assessment because ang pinaka-goal niya talaga is to really improve teaching and learning process. But of course, it is very tedious. If we're going to look at palang as of this time, you would understand this type of approach really is is challenging. It is tedious. No? It is challenging when it comes to time resources or time resource. Now let's try to look at here the limitations. The limitations of performance assessment. The drawbacks naman. Now, developing quality assessment is time consuming. Ito naman yung binanggit ko, di ba? No, that ito yung pinaka-drawback talaga ng mga ganitong type of assessment or task. No, it is really time consuming because you really have to conceptualize them and then rooted from the different characteristics of your learners and other principles. So that's why it's very challenging to develop quality assessments. No? Okay. And then letter B requires significant time to administer and score. For the reason that your evaluation tool or yung assessment tool is very varied. Therefore, then when it comes to administration of the assessment tool, it is very challenging because if there is differences, for example, kung meron kang iba't ibang klaseng what do you call this, assessment tool, sa isang activity pa lang, you have to expect also that the scoring procedure is different. Okay? Because you have to pattern it based on the characteristics of the learners. Kaya nga, requires significant time to administer and score. And then scores may have lower reliability. Bakit scores may have lower reliability? Because it is not really consistent. No? Yung tinatawag natin internal consistency. Wala siya ganoon. No? Kasi nagva-vary kasi. If you're going to look at the assessment tool varies, right? Nakadepende kung ano yung kalidad, I mean, ano yung characteristics ng learners, and it lowers the reliability of the score. Okay, that's a consequence there. And the letter D, challenging for less able students. Yes. In every lecture, like for example, sa mga ganitong, especially mga authentic based na mga tasks, it is very sad na it is really challenging for less able students. Kaya na siguro ang DepEd ngayon, although ang dami na nilang trainings about inquiry-based, project-based, brain-based learning, problem-based, different approaches and everything. And then when I asked my friends na nasa DepEd, sabi ko, nagagamit niyo ba ito lahat? Okay. And then they're telling me, honestly naman, sabi nila, hindi. Kasi at the end of the day, we still have to conform whatever approaches na gagamitin natin inside the classroom or activities inside the classroom, we still have to conform to the characteristics of the learners. Now, you really can't impose that because if you really wanted to use performance assessment, pero yung estudyante mo naman, most of your students they are less able students, therefore you cannot proceed of exercising this because pag pipilitin talaga natin siyang gawin, it will drag the whole activity. Okay? Because in performance-based, itong mga authentic type kasi ng mga assessment or task kasi, meron kasing tinatawag na parang equal opportunity for both teachers and learners at the same time. So this is really a two-way process of learning. So dapat kung meron feedback si teacher, meron din dapat respond ang estudyante. Okay? It's a two-way communication, no? Of course, kaya nga ang sinasabi natin dito is meron talaga siyang, at the end of the day, there is what we call enhancement of the teaching learning process. And it is true that it is very challenging for less able students. Again, for the reason that it will drag the whole activity. And time management can be difficult because this particular type of tasks, they are not just limited to one day only or one session only. It could actually stretch for a month, no? So, ibig sabihin, ang time management natin isisira kasi nga, meron pa tayong dapat hahabulin na mga topics. Kaya na napaka-challenging if i-apply natin siya sa mga less able students kasi it will drag everything. Here are the different types of scoring instruments for performance assessments. Now, these are some approaches in rating the performance, product, or work of the students. And there are different ways to record the results of performance-based assessments according to Eurasian 1991, Stigens 1994. First is checklist. Now, checklist refers to an observation instrument that defines performance, whether it is certain or uncertain, or present or not present. Now, checklist works well in describing what students can perform. It works well for checking the process of learning. This is widely used in different settings, including performance assessment. In using the checklist, the evaluator has to indicate only whether or not certain elements are present in the performances. There are two parts of checklist, the elements and then the check boxes or lines. When creating the checklist, for performance assessment, paraphrase the judging criteria and make them the elements of the checklist. There are two reasons for this. First, the phrases provide memory jog for the evaluator so that he or she knows what to look for. And secondly, paraphrasing makes the description short to decrease the reading time and maximize the observation time. The box or line next to each element provides place for the evaluator to indicate with a check when element is present during the performance. So pwede rin talaga ito siya naka-table lang, no? Merong most likely three columns kung yes or no ka. Three columns lang sa unang column ay statements, second column yes, and third column no. Okay? So checklist. Another is the narrative or anecdotal. Now, narrative or anecdotal is a continuous description of student behavior as it occurs, recorded without judgment or interpretation. So, kung ano lang talaga yung nakikita, no? Sa behavior ng bata, yun lang, without judgment, of course, and interpretation. The teacher writes a narrative report of what was done during each of the performances. From this report, he can determine how well his students met his standards. Again, that's narrative and anecdotal. It's more on description, no? Kung ano yung observe ng teacher sa bata. Another is the rating scale. It is a checklist that allows an evaluator to record information on a scale. So this time naka-scale na po siya. As to compare to checklist lang na typical yes or no, no. This one meron na po siyang scale. Noting the finer distinction like the presence or absence of a behavior. The teacher can indicate, to what degree the standards are met. Usually, teachers use a numerical scale. For instance, one teacher may rate each criterion on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 having the description of scale as skill barely present and 5 as skill extremely well executed. Okay? So again, this one is a rating scale na sa makikita nyo na, I think nakasagot na kayo ng mga questionnaires na yung first column is the different first column ay mga different statements, and then ang next columns kay number na like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 with adjective. Yeah, adjective ito na below class. Anyway. And then we also have a memory approach. No, kindly add. No, when we say memory approach, it is an approach where the teacher observes the students when performing the task without taking any notes. Okay, ang tinawag siyang memory approach. He uses his memory to determine whether or not the students are successful. This is not recommended, of course, to use in assessing performance of students. Kasi nga, mangyayari dito, baka ang daming ginawa ni teacher within the day, hindi na ma-recall ni teacher. Okay? So that's it, no? And then, okay. Let's proceed to, of course, the reason is we have to assess the performance and then we specify the constraints in testing. Next topic would be the errors in performance-based assessment. It is true that when teachers utilize performance-based in assessing student performance, it can provide very useful information, useful information regarding the achievement of the students. However, it is also possible to commit an error, no, when observing and judging students' performance. No, I think all of us would agree. And experience po at siguro natin ito sa high school, even elementary. No, the possible errors committed when using performance based are it is true that when teachers utilize performance based in assessing students' performance, it can provide very useful information regarding the achievement of the students. However, it is also possible to commit an error when observing and judging students' performance. The possible errors committed when using performance based are personal bias, severity error, generosity error, and a halo effect. Generosity error is committed when a teacher overrates the performance of the students or favors the high performing students in the class. So most likely favoritism, no? So yun tinatawag natin na generosity error. So ibig sabihin, mas na-favor niya yung mga, siguro of course, mga high performing students, no? Or they overrates performance. Ibig sabihin sinusobrahan, siguro, hindi ko alam, mabait lang ba si teacher? Okay? Next we have is the severity error is when the teacher favors the low performing students in the class. Okay, ito din, no? Mabait din. So parang binibigyan naawa sa mga low performing students. That's severity error. Now, when we say halo effect, it is committed when judging individual characteristics in terms of a general impression. Okay. Now, these types of errors can also be committed by the evaluator in portfolio assessment. Itong halo effect, when we say halo effect, again, committed when judging individual characteristics in terms of general impression. Like, yung, ano na, yung, meron ng, what do you call this? Meron ka nang nakikita. Like for example, section 1, pag sinasabing section 1, matalino. So most likely, ganito din yung way of scoring mo. And pag andun ka sa last section, especially kung ika-21 section niyan, most likely meron ka ng idea na ganito lang ang mga bata. So ganito lang din yung pagbibigay ko, pag-assess or pag-evaluate ko, hanggang dito lang din. Okay? So that's what we mean by halo effect. Now, I would like also to reiterate that these type of errors can also be committed by the evaluator in portfolio assessment. Now, in order that performance-based assessment can provide a useful and valid information, special care should be given to the reliability, objectivity, and meaningfulness of the results of the assessment procedures. This can be done when making clear guidelines regarding what is to be observed. That's why it's very important to make sure na klaruhin talaga ni teacher kung ano, kaklaruhin dapat ni teacher kung ano talaga yung gusto niyong mangyari for that particular performance task, anong gusto niyong makita, no? How it is to be done, the manner the observations are to be recorded, and how the result is to be recorded and used. Aside from that, any procedure that can contribute to a more objective observation and record will help to increase the reliability and meaningfulness of the result. The use of portfolio and students' participation can also contribute to the improvement of performance assessment. And I think that's all for this chapter. Thank you. And these are the two references. Thank you for listening and watching.